The top stories: Ethiopia bids to host African Cup of Nations AFCON 2029. And Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed arrives in Kazan, Russia to attend BRICS summit. Hello and welcome to EBC World with me, Shifar Alaka, and thank you for watching us. Now, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and First Lady Zinashta Yacho, accompanied by a ministerial delegation, arrived Tuesday in Kazan, Russia, to attend BRICS summit. The Prime Minister and his delegation were accorded warm welcome by the head of the Republic of Tatarstan, Rastam Minikhanov, upon their arrival at the airport. Ethiopia officially joined the BRICS on January 1, 2024. The Kazan summit will be the first to invite participation of new members of the association, and representatives of over 30 countries are expected to attend. Moving on to other stories, Ethiopia is making a strong bid to host the 2029 Africa Cup of Nations. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has requested the honor of hosting the prestigious tournament, showcasing Ethiopia's commitment to promoting football on the continent. The 46th CAF Congress is being hosted in Addis Ababa, bringing together top football officials from across the continent. Johannes Fentown has more on that.
The 46th CAF Congress in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia is witnessing major announcement. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has presented Ethiopia's bid to host the 2029 AFCON, highlighting the country's rich football heritage and its ambitious plans for the future. In his address, Prime Minister Abiy recalled Ethiopia's pivotal role in the establishment of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, as well as its historic contribution to shaping the organization. He emphasized the country's strong commitment to the development of football in Africa.
In 1957, Ethiopia proudly stood as one of the founding members of CAF, helping shape the very foundation of African football. The year 1976 marked the last time we hosted AFCON. Now, the time has come to reignite that legacy and once again welcome the nations of Africa to the land of origins. That's why today I ask you to bring the 37th African Cup of Nations to Ethiopia in 2029. What better place to celebrate the unity of Africa, African football, than right here in Ethiopia, a land known for promoting African solidarity, fostering a collective identity through Pan-Africanism, and upholding a long tradition of hospitality. We are ready and eager to host the continent once again and showcase world-class football, but also make all Africa proud.
The CAF President Patrice Motsepe acknowledged Ethiopia's strong bid, noting the country's dedication to promoting football on the continent.
Thank you so much for the beautiful message of Ethiopia expressing its willingness to host the AFCON in 2029. I'm so proud and I'm thankful, and I always have to remind myself that what I feel I must keep inside, and remember that I'm president of CAF, and as president of CAF we have received lots of other countries who've said 2029 we also want to host AFCON, and I'm proud that our experiences since we arrived here stands Ethiopia in good stead.
Prime Minister Abiy also highlighted Ethiopia's remarkable economic development and its investment in infrastructure, including stadiums, roads, hospitality sector, and smart cities, all of which he believes make Ethiopia a strong contender to host the 2029 AFCON.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ethiopia is a nation on the rise. Our economy is growing. Last year, we have succeeded 8.1% GDP growth, and this year we're expecting 8.4% GDP growth. Our cities are expanding and our infrastructure is improving at a rapid pace. We are making significant strides in advancing our urban infrastructure with modern, smart, and sustainable solutions, transforming our cities into vibrant hubs. This transformation includes constructing new stadiums and upgrading existing ones, enhancing transportation networks, expanding Ethiopian Airlines domestic and international routes, and enhancing our hospitality sector. Our goal is to offer exceptional facilities and experiences to all our residents and visitors. Our rapid progress in industrialization, infrastructure, and agriculture, especially our vast wheat fields, embody the wider African aspiration for food sovereignty and demonstrates that African nations can build resilient economies.
The Ethiopian President Taye Asqaselase says Ethiopia recognizes the pivotal role of the Confederation of African Football, playing for the development of African football. The 46th Ordinary General Assembly of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has kicked off at the Skylight Hotel in Addis Ababa. Shagar Mata has more on that.
The 46th Ordinary General Assembly of CAF is underway in Addis Ababa, the Skylight Hotel, with the presence of Ethiopian President Taye Asqaselase, CAF President Patrice Motsepe, FIFA President Gianni Infantino, football federations from CAF member countries, AFCON legends, presidents of regional football associations, and other stakeholders in the sport. In his opening remarks, Ethiopian President Taye Asqaselase indicated that football makes up Africa's popular sport, which is central to preserving collective heritage. He also stated that the government of Ethiopia recognizes the crucial role of CAF playing in achieving the continent's aspirations.
In today's world, sport serves as the cornerstone to unite our continent, transcending boundaries and differences. This perfectly aligns with African Union's Agenda 2063, which envisions a unified Africa characterized by a robust cultural identity, shared heritage, and values. It is in this light the government of Ethiopia recognizes and wholeheartedly supports the pivotal role that CAF plays in achieving these aspirations.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino, for his part, highlighted the significant progress of the African football achieved by CAF as compared to the previous years.
And we have been increasing the forward program, the solidarity program, from $250,000 a year to $2 million a year. And this money is invested by all of you in football development. And you can see that because you know it when you play now the qualifiers of the AFCON or of the World Cup. There is no easy game anymore. Everyone is getting stronger. By the way, congratulations to those who have qualified already for the AFCON last week. We've invested in a talent development scheme. As part of football development, we have invested in refereeing development. as part of these investments, and we can see the results at African level, but also of the African teams at global level.
Taye further underscored that his country is working tirelessly in investing in the sports infrastructure development, adding the meeting is vital for Ethiopia's bid toward the AFCON 2029.
Athlete Nagacho Tasama, who served as the president of CAF, driven by the epitome of Pan-Africanism, succeeded to put Africa in its rightful place in FIFA and the World Cup. The enormous love of the game by Ethiopians, you wouldn't believe it. The historic attachment we have with the development of the sports in Africa makes it fitting to have this momentous gathering in Addis Ababa. Even more so, the meeting is perfectly aligned with Ethiopia's bid and aspiration to host the AFCON 2029.
Taye requested CAF to endorse Ethiopia's bill to host AFCON 2029 that helps the country to showcase its capabilities and contribute to the continued growth of the sport.
Now, Ethiopia is hosting the 46th CAF Congress in Addis Ababa, bringing together top football officials from across the continent. The event is taking place in the presence of both the FIFA and the CAF presidents, highlighting the importance of this gathering. Johannes Fantan brings us up to speed.
Ethiopia, a founding member of the Confederation of African Football CAF, is playing host to the 46th CAF Congress. The event, held in the presence of FIFA and CAF president, serves as a platform to discuss the future of African football. In his opening remarks, President of the Ethiopian Football Federation, Isaias Jirar, recalled Ethiopia's pivotal role in the establishment of CAF alongside Sudan and Egypt.
Ethiopia has long been a cornerstone of African football, and our nation, along with our esteemed brothers from Sudan, Egypt, and South Africa, laid the foundation for the establishment of CAF, a vision that brought nations together through football and set the stage for what African football is today. This legacy fills us with pride and reminds us of the pivotal role Ethiopia continues to play in the journey of African football.
CAF President Patrice Motsepe, for his part, stressed the importance of government support for African football, underscoring its potential for development and unity across the continent.
The most successful African countries or African national teams have got support from their governments. It's a huge benefit to have a head of state who's passionate about football, because you cannot build a stadium, you cannot build a lot of the infrastructure for football without the support and the partnership of government. So I'm very, very proud that a lot of good progress has been made, and many of the governments are helping us. One of the problems we have is there are still too many countries in Africa that have to play their football outside their country. You cannot develop football in your nation, in your country, if you've got to play outside. So there's a huge amount of focus to ensure that every one of the 54 nations has got at least one stadium that's at the level of the CAF and FIFA standards.
Outlining Ethiopia's bold ambition to host the 2029 African Cup of Nations AFCON, Isaias highlighted the government's commitment to this goal, noting the construction of 11 new stadiums across the country. He also emphasized Ethiopia's unique position as a founding member of CAF, stating the country deserves the experience of the vibrant atmosphere of AFCON once again.
As we celebrate 62 years since that glorious and triumph, I stand before you today to express our unwavering ambition to host AFCON 2029 on our historic land. Our government is fully committed to this vision, with about 11 stadiums under construction across the country. A clear indication of Ethiopia's dedication to bring the pinnacle of African football back to its roots. As a founding member of CAF, our people deserve to once again witness and experience the electric atmosphere of AFCON. So, our government ambition is not only to host AFCON 2029, but also building the nation through football.
CAF President Mosupi stressed the critical importance of strong governance and ethical conduct within the organization, emphasizing zero-tolerance approach to rule violation and regulations.
Governance and ethics are critically important. Governance and ethics is non-negotiable. Part of the success, part of the respect that CAF has obtained and is continuing to receive is there's a recognition in Africa, there's a recognition in the world that there's zero tolerance. There's zero tolerance for corruption at CAF, there's zero tolerance for bribery, there's zero tolerance for violation and not respecting the CAF and FIFA statutes and regulations.
In a touching moment, Isaias Jua paid tribute to the legendary Ethiopian sports figure Yidnekacho Tesema, acknowledging his significant contribution to the development of football in Ethiopia and Africa in general.
I cannot stand here without paying tribute to the great leaders of African football, Ethiopia's own Mr. Yidnekacho Tesema, a former CAF president whose passion, vision, and the tireless dedication transformed the game on our continent. His contributions continue to echo through the halls of CAF and in the hearts of football lovers across the world. We honor his legacy as we look forward to the future of African football with optimism and ambition.
This Congress is said to be a testament to the growing strength and potential of African football.
And now moving to other stories, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for a significant reform of the international financial architecture to adequately support Africa's development. The Secretary General also pointed out that the international community has reached a common consensus on the need to reform the Security Council to include a permanent seat for Africa. Goshumeliso reports.
The AU High-Level Annual Conference was held in a closed session, briefing journalists jointly with AU Commissioner Musa Faki Mahamat. After the conference, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres emphasized the critical need to reform the global financial architecture to ensure that African countries receive the resources necessary for sustainable development, debt relief, and equitable access to financial tools.
The international financial architecture must be corrected, and must be corrected to give more voice and more power to developing countries in general, of course African countries in particular, and to mobilize much more resources, the SDG stimulus, to reduce the debt and to create the conditions for sustainable development and for climate action in mitigation and adaptation to the benefit of developing countries. And I hope that now it will be possible to implement those measures because they are essential for justice in relation to the African continent.
The Secretary General also underscored the importance of strengthening human rights protections and enhancing efforts toward peace and security across the continent. He pointed out that the international community has reached a common consensus on the need to reform the Security Council to include a permanent seat for Africa.
There are now conditions for the international community to start providing justice to the African people. First of all, in relation to the questions of peace and security, there is now a consensus of member states that the Security Council must be reformed, and there is a consensus about all member states that the key aspect of that reform is to have 2 African members as permanent members of the Security Council.
He expressed a commitment to ensuring that technological advancements help African countries accelerate their development.
We are totally committed to have a strong African presence in the political dialogue that will now be annual in the United Nations on artificial intelligence and on the international scientific panel that will follow the development, the state of the art of artificial intelligence. We want the African continent, that is a young continent, and in relation to sciences that are young scientists, to be able to be in the first line and not to be left behind.
Antonio Guterres reaffirmed that the cooperation between the AU and UN will remain stronger and dynamic.
And finally, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has emphasized the necessity of implementing innovative indigenous solutions to pave the way for a brighter future for the continent. He also reiterated Ethiopia's commitment and belief in the need to reform the UN Security Council and secure Africa's permanent seat at the UNSC. Hikma Tamam reports.
Following an intensive renovation, Africa Hall, where the Charter of the Organization of African Unity was signed, has been inaugurated in the presence of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and the African Union Commission Chairperson Moussa Faki Mohamed, and other high-level officials, and also member states of the AU and the UN. So this is the historical venue designed in 1961 at the time of Emperor Haile Selassie, where the African heads of state had a conversation and deliberated on pressing issues. This hall served as an important stage for conversations, meetings, and discussions among the founding fathers of the Organization of African Unity, today's African Union.
Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister of Ethiopia Abiy Ahmed pointed out the renovated hall stands as a testament of unity where the Pan-African cooperation has been achieved. As per the Prime Minister, a bold homegrown ideas need to be put in place in order to make a better future for the continent. He also reiterated Ethiopia's commitment to ensure Africa's permanent seat in the UN Security Council. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, on his part, applauded the government of Ethiopia and the UNECA for the execution of renovating the historical venue. He described the hall as a symbol of unity and a bridge between Africa's past and future. It has been indicated that as Africa Hall stands as a testament of the continent's aspirations, heads of states and governments need to intensify efforts and work for the people of Africa in order to move forward towards unity, peace, and prosperity.
Well, the viewers, you have been watching ABC World. Now a quick recap of the top stories. Ethiopia bids to host African Cup of Nations AFCON 2029. And Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed arrives in Kazan, Russia to attend BRICS Summit. Well, dear viewers, that wraps up today's news. Thank you so much for watching us. Bye-bye.